Good morning, everybody. A very warm welcome to the Norisring in southern Germany. We are here for round 16 of the championship. We've had 5 visits so far this season to Silverstone, Hockenheim, Po, Monza and Spa. And now we come to Germany for 3 races here this weekend on what suddenly is a very wet circuit. It's been dry in the build-up to this race, but now this morning, a couple of hours ago, it started to rain. It's not that heavy, but there's lots of spray on the circuit. Chris Hartley in the commentary box. Alongside me, it's good morning to Dave Richardson.
Chris, I'm concerned about your voice, friend.
You're right.
Suffering with a cold, aren't you? But
a little bit, yeah.
Hey, listen, you're right. What's happened here is it's just consistent drizzle, isn't it? It's not heavy rain, but it's enough. And we've been watching some of the practice sessions that have been out before the F3 cars made it to the grid. And the spray, the visibility in this race 1 is going to be atrocious, I would think.
Yeah, and what we've got as well is a lot of the rookies who've got well in qualifying going in front of the grid. But of course, they've only seen the circuit for the first time this weekend, yesterday in fact. Now they're seeing it for the first time in wet conditions. There is Max Gunther, who's got his best starting grid of the season so far. He's going to be second on the grid. Charles Leclerc, who's the championship leader, is on pole position. And there is Alex Albon, who was only, 9 thousandths of a second slower than Charles Leclerc in qualifying yesterday. He's third on the grid. It's his best qualifying so far this season, and he's going to be on pole position for races 2 and 3 this weekend. We
saw glimpses of his brilliance at Spa just a week ago, and I think we're going to see some more this weekend.
Yeah, he's had a little bit of bad luck this season. There's Marcus Palmer. That's his joint best grid of the season so far. It's his first season in the FIA Formula 3 European Championship, but he's pretty experienced in terms of Formula 3 racing, having raced in the German Formula 3 Championship for a number of years. He's also raced in Formula 2. And there is Felix Rosenqvist, who is out to win the championship this year. He's had the most wins this season. He's had 5 wins, but it's been an up and down season for him. And he's one of the drivers who really suffered at Monza because in races 2 and 3, with all the well-documented crashes that we had, only half points were awarded. And that weekend, he won all the races. So instead of picking up in races 2 and 3 50 points, he only got 25 points.
If ever there was anyone who the only luck he has is bad luck, it's got to be Felix. I mean, you're absolutely right. This is the year. He's got to nail it. There's no question about it. And, you know, everything seems, on occasions, to play against him.
And his dramas really this season have come from qualifying. Starting at Silverstone, he was quickest in all the sessions at Silverstone, but a slight technical problem with the car meant that he was put to the back of the grid in races 2 and 3. He had a pretty woeful qualifying session at Po, where he was stuck in traffic on the last street circuit we visited, and he's not had a particularly good qualifying here. No. And this is not going to be the easiest circuit to overtake on.
No, you're right. We look at Antonio Giovinazzi now then. Final stages of preparation before this race 1 gets underway. And there's Alessio Lorandi, the Van Amersfoort driver. And Alessio Lorandi then receives the handshakes from his engineers and his team.
Another rookie, isn't he? And fresh out of karting. One of a couple of drivers, like Callum Ilott, the British driver, who comes straight from karting, straight up to F3. But Alessio Lorandi with the Van Amersfoort team, who won all 3 races here last year with what was then a rookie, a certain Max Verstappen.
And, of course, Charles Leclerc is using what was Max Verstappen's chassis.
Yes.
So, just thought we'd throw that into the mix.
And it's going quite well. He's on pole position.
Yes, it is.
Charles Leclerc, just about getting there on pole position. There's Mikkel Jensen, who's shown some real signs of promise this year, the Danish driver. He has been quick, but he's got a bit of work to do here from 9th on the grid, as has this young man, Jake Dennis. Now, he's the second most winning driver of the season. He's had 4 wins. He's the teammate to Felix Rosenqvist, and he's second in the championship. But the first qualifying session didn't go well. He was complaining about oversteer on the car. Right. Back end was a bit twitchy. Worked late to change the setup. Qualifying 2 was okay. He's much higher up the grid for races 2 and 3, but 10th on the grid, one of his worst qualifying performances so far this season. And there is another Prema Power Team driver, Lance Stroll, who's back after a one-race ban. He's had a bit of a lively couple of races. At Monza, he was flipped up in the air. He was involved in another incident in race 3 at Monza and reprimanded as well for an incident at Spa. So Lance, very quick driver, but he has had quite a volatile season so far.
Well, you talk about volatile seasons. Gustavo Menezes, last time we saw him, he was on his roll hoop.
Yeah, flip at Spa, collision, and the Carlin team, Giovinazzi, I am with Carlin, have put his name on the side of the car upside down just to try and make light of it. I mean, big serious incidents these. The main thing, though, is how strong these cars have been, because some horrific crashes, but Lance Stroll's walked away, Gustavo Menezes has walked away, Michele Beretta had a flip at Monza, he walked away. There is George Russell. Now, George is another rookie, BRDC Formula 4 champion of last year, a BRDC Autosport Driver of the Year as well. The British driver is 13th on the grid. He's one of 5 drivers to win this season. 13th on the grid, but he's on the front row for races 2 and 3.
Right. Santino Ferrucci next, then the K-Styler Muka Motorsport. Familiar colours of Muka Motorsport, of course. And the next one to focus on a camera. There you can see the grid is assembled. All the cars are down there, and there's a lot of standing water around. Just peering out the back of our comms booth here, and it is still drizzling down. There is still rain coming down. That means that, of course, you know, this street circuit, which we visit but once a year, and it's a fantastic venue to come to. It is a street circuit. The roads are in use under normal circumstances. Therefore, the cambers are all slightly different, and we do get this this standing water, and that's really, really going to affect these guys out there for their race 1.
Another thing is that it's a public road and it gets patched up, so there are differences in the types of surface, and
point, yes.
Some parts of the course will have more grip than others, which they're going to have to learn, these drivers. Only a few of them have been here before, of course. There was some wet weather racing last year that tends to be here at this part of the world, although tomorrow's supposed to be dry. There is Charles Leclerc, then the Monegasque driver, a rookie, not rookie to car racing. He's not come straight from karts. He raced in Formula Renault last year. But what a rookie he's been so far. He has reminded me, I spoke to you about this earlier in the weekend, Dave, a little bit of last year's champion, Esteban Ocon.
Yes.
He's very smooth, he's very calculated, and he drives with his head. There have been a number of times this season where he's clearly settled for the points, which when you've got 33 races to get through is not a bad way of going about it.
It's better to bank those, isn't it, than go all out for the win and potentially lose out. I think you're absolutely right. We're seeing that he is a very, very rounded driver, isn't he? He's ticking on an awful lot of boxes. And, well, safety car start then.
Not a surprise, really,
no,
is it?
not really. And just interesting to see how many laps it will stay out for. What tends to happen, Chris, is, of course, the safety car gradually picks up pace, doesn't it, to allow the drivers to get more onto the pace,
yes,
and to explore the track and potentially explore the limits. Now, the thing is here, we saw so much action at Spa just a week ago. Here, we're going to see just as much action, but, of course, Spa has got plenty of runoff areas.
And
here we've got concrete walls, so
yes, huge crowd already here. The first race of the weekend, DTM weekend, of course. Off go the cars then onto the formation lap. There are 32 of them. A slightly lower grid than we've had at other races, but still a very impressive grid. 16 of them then here. 16 races. This is the 16th of them. 17 later on today. Race 18 tomorrow. So at this weekend, Dave, we're going to have the halfway stage in the championship. There you can see the first corner, the Grundig hairpin, which is late on the break. I mean, this course is all about fast straights and slow corners. There are no high-speed corners, so in the dry, they don't run much wing on these cars. They're trying to get straight-line speed, but they do need traction out of the corners,
yes,
particularly in the wet. There's the grid then.
Grid in full. Charles Leclerc and Max Günther then it's Alexander Albon and Marcus Palmer, Felix Rosenqvist and Dorian Boccolacci, Antonio Giovinazzi, Alessio Lorandi, then it's Mikkel Jensen and Jake Dennis rounding out the top 10 for this, the starting grid. Race 1 of 3 here for the FIA Formula 3 European Championship at Norisring. Then we see Lance Stroll and Gustavo Menezes, George Russell, the Norfolk boy, is P13 with Santino Ferrucci and Callum Ilott and Fabian Schiller, Michele Beretta, Sergio Seta Camara, then it's Ryan Tavita. Then we see the rest of the order there, Sam McLeod, Moreno, then Arjun Marni, Nabil Jeffrey and Matt Solomon, and 10-place grid penalty for Arjun because of an engine change, Chris?
Yeah, after free practice. So for the next, if you change your engine, for the next 3 races, you get a 10-place grid penalty. Qualified 13th, he'll have to start 23rd for this one, and he'll get a 10-place grid penalty for races 2 and 3 as well. So perhaps the Indian driver, second in the BRDC, the British Racing Drivers Club Formula 4 Championship to George Russell last year, might be one to watch coming through. There's the circuit, only 2.3 kilometres long, be 42 laps, or 35 minutes, whichever comes first, and you would expect maybe, with the conditions, slower lap times, and I suspect the possibility of 1 or 2 safety cars, it might not go the full distance in terms of the number of laps.
I think you're absolutely right. I think you've hit the nail there. I think it will be to time. Safety car is there, taking these cars around now. Effectively, the clock is ticking down already, and you can see just how much spray is being thrown up from the backs of the rear wheels of these cars, and they're not at anything like racing speed at the moment. And here they come down to the hairpin then. Track temperature is 18 degrees. Air temperature is just a shade below as they make their way up behind the safety car now, heading towards the Rd6, which you and I have stood there and watched these cars come through. That's absolutely fantastic. I mean, it's no wonder, is it, that you get, you know, well in excess of 100,000 people across a weekend here to Norisring, because it is so spectacular.
Yeah, you're so close to the circuit, you can see exactly what's going on. And, yeah, if you're at the S-curve, and you've got a media bib, you can stand literally right on top of the barrier and watch these F3 cars whistle within a couple of centimetres of you. So the race effectively underway. Charles Leclerc from pole position leading the way. He's the championship leader. He's got 217.5 points. Second in the championship is Jake Dennis, back in 10th place here. And he'll want as many racing laps as he can to make progress. He's got 189 points. 1 point behind him is Felix Rosenqvist, the Swedish driver, now in his 6th season of Formula 3 racing. He's got 188. And Antonio Giovinazzi, who went really well at the start of the championship, he was not off the podium in the first 9 races at Silverstone, Hockenheim at Po, but he's had a troubled time of late, and Giovinazzi's dropped to 4th in the standings now on 184.
We're going through the Rd6 now. Safety car is coming in this lap. So what Leclerc will do is effectively try and back them up. Now, there are rules. He can't be so far away from the safety car. But, again, going back to this, he's a very rounded driver. He's going to try and use this to his advantage, isn't he?
Exactly. So up until recent times, he's been the best qualifier. So it's not too much of a surprise to see him up there at the front of the field. But he has only had a couple of poles. They came at Silverstone. His average up until recently was 2nd on the grid. So he's used to being at the front. Right behind him there, Max Gunther in the orange Muka Motorsport car. Alex Albon in the signature car. Number 21 is 3rd on the grid. Marcus Pommer, the German driver, number 34, is 4th on the grid. Felix Rosenqvist, one to watch, going for the championship. He's 5th on the grid. Dorian Boccolacci, with his best qualifying so far this season, is 6th on the grid. And the green flag waves. We get underway. And Dave, look at how much spray there is if you're anybody except for Charles Leclerc.
Exactly. He's the one that's got the huge advantage, hasn't he? Because he's got no spray.
Ooh, there goes Albon, straight into 2nd place.
Albon is, well, if he can hold now, he's going to run a bit wide there, isn't he? But I think he's done enough.
Yeah, as Giovinazzi's trying to make up some places as well in the yellow machine. Antonio Giovinazzi, the Italian, 7th on the grid in the Chigonia I Am with Carlin car, trying a different line around the hairpin there. And we got one off already. That's the Indian driver, Mahavir Raghunathan, who was 30th on the grid. He's run wide. Doesn't look like anybody else was involved in that, or at least nobody else has come off as a result of that. Leclerc leads. 2nd place is Albon. 3rd place is Mikkel Jensen. And a gap back. I think it might be Rosenqvist, is it, that's tucked into 4th place by the looks of things in the first of the Prema cars. Running, it was Pommer who was 4th, but he runs wide, and Felix Rosenqvist nips at the inside to go 4th. Jake Dennis in the red, white and blue car trying to make up a place at the hairpin as well. And coming up to the end of lap number 1. Perfect start that for Leclerc. He's 1.1 seconds clear.
Absolutely, and he took a very, very different line around that last turn to everybody else, and it was a line that seemed to work. Well, thankfully,
here's a replay.
This was Albon's move, wasn't it?
Super move that. First time here, don't forget, for Alex Albon. He's not the only one who's a rookie, but this is his first racing lap in the wet at the Norisring, and he was confident enough to go for the move there. Mikkel Jensen maybe a little bit tentative on the brakes. This is what happened at the back of the field, and to be fair, Raghunathan was tipped into the spin. Yes. It wasn't all of his own doing that. He's got going again, but he's the best part of 3/4 of a lap behind now. Otherwise, though, they all made it through the hairpin, which is pretty impressive, given that there was no grip and they couldn't see where they were going. And then he went a bit wide.
Needed a three-pointer there, didn't he?
Yeah, it needs a handbrake on it. Already then coming up to the end of lap number 5. Second racing lap. Is the gap coming down, Dave? It is, isn't it?
It is, and Alban, what he's doing, he's been very clever there. He's coming outside of the spray, isn't he? So at least he's got some visibility. He's right on the back of Leclerc there. He goes wider. That's going to give him, slightly better exit, perhaps. You can see the rear end skidding around on that car. So it's Leclerc that leads from Alexander Alban. Very, very impressive in P2. And through the Choleres they go. And those two really are nose to tail, aren't they?
Yeah, we got Gunther in 3rd, Rosenquist 4th, Giovinazzi's up to 5th, Pommer's down to 6th, Boccolacci 7th, Lorandi's in 8th, Dennis has gained a place in 9th, Mikkel Jensen is there in 10th place. So Max Gunther doing a decent job here in 3rd place. He's had a podium finish, one podium finish already this season, but Felix Rosenquist, look, I think he's closing the gap to him. There is number 1, Felix Rosenquist, slippy slidey coming out of the hairpin though. Giovinazzi's going well, then you've got a gap back to the rest, so the top 5 have broken clear. And in 6th place, leading the next group, is Marcus Pommer, who started 4th on the grid, but has slipped back. The German's still looking for his first podium finish of the season. So the gap's opened up a little bit on that lap. It's come down, then it's opened up again. Alex Albon has had 1 podium at Spa, as you described, looking for his first win of the season. And here is a move, and that's on Raganathan. That's the race leader, Charles Leclerc, in the black number 7 car, run by the Dutch team, Van Amersfoort Racing, who've been racing cars for 40 years now. It's their 40th anniversary. Raganathan, who had the incident earlier on, is lapped, so the 33 car is a lap down. And Alex Albon comes through, has to take a slightly different line. You've got to be careful of the white lines here as well, the painted white lines, which will be very, very slippy. He's good on the brakes, isn't he, Alex Albon, into the hairpin. He really does close the gap down. And we've got Rosenquist now trying to hunt down Gunther. Giovinazzi, I think he's going with him. Giovinazzi's just set the fastest first sector time of anybody. So Giovinazzi, one to watch here. He's had a torrid time of late. He's had 2 wins, 1 at Hockenheim, 1 at Po. Wasn't off the podium for the first 9 races. He hasn't been on the podium for the last 6 races. Had a couple of 4ths. He's had a couple of retirements as well, including that puncture and a fairly big off at Spa. Here is Marcus Pommer closing up to the back of Dorian Boccolacci. And there is Jake Dennis, one of the championship frontrunners, up to 8th place now. He's got ahead of Lorandi, so he's gained 2 positions.
So the conditions that these drivers are having to race in, absolutely atrocious. Oof. Very, very sideways moment there.
A lot has been said about the driving standards in F3 lately, but you have to take your hats off to these guys on a tricky circuit with no runoff, no visibility, no time in the car in these conditions. They're doing a very, very good job at the moment. You also have to point out that it is not all of the drivers that have been involved in incidents in recent times at Monza, at Spa. There are drivers at the front like Felix Rosenquist and Jake Dennis and Charles Leclerc, who have been driving really, really well this season. Incidentally, Felix Rosenquist, I said, was the one who was really hurt by those half points that were awarded for the 2 curtailed races at Monza. Oh, Lorandi goes straight on there. Alessio Lorandi, the Italian driver, one of the Amersfoort drivers. Luckily, there's lots of runoff there, but I think he stalled the car, Dave, so he's going to drop right to the back of the field. Oh, reverse, get it back in gear. He gets back in the race. Somebody else has gone off in the background as well, and he'll rejoin towards the back of the field, I'm afraid.
You make a very fair point earlier on, where we've seen, actually, what we've seen so far this morning as we see. Look at that. There was just absolutely no way he was going to make that turn, was there?
Just aquaplane straight on, didn't he?
Driving standards so far today have been remarkable, haven't they? It's horrible conditions out there. It's a very, very tight circuit. And there was number 2 that went flying off there as well.
Yeah, I was about to say before Alessio went straight on there that had full points been awarded for those 2 races at Monza, Felix Rosenquist would now be 2nd instead of 3rd in the championship, and he'd only be 12 points behind Charles Leclerc instead of, 29.5 points behind him.
I bet he's done the calculations as well.
I mean, he's got to put it to the back of his mind. Everybody will have some bad luck this season. In a way, it seems a little bit unjust for those drivers that they were punished with the half points, but you completely understand why it happened. Jake Dennis was another one that suffered, and we've got a spin, and I'm afraid
Beretta.
It's Michele Beretta, the Muka Motorsport driver. But again, he comes to no harm. He avoided the wall, he avoided anybody else, and he'll lose some places, but he gets back going again, 3 places clear of Alessio Lorandi.
I think what that proves is that the conditions are still treacherous, aren't they? Even though the drivers are, they've done a number of laps now, and they know where the grip is at and where it's not at. As we watch Albon then through that turn, who just is, the gap back to Leclerc, or ahead to Leclerc, is 1.5, but Albon's kept within it, hasn't he?
Yeah, and last lap round, Leclerc was quicker, but at the start of the lap, that's where Alex Albon seems to have the edge. They're going to get, there's a bit of buddy work, which is offline. That's what happened to Beretta. I think he was tagged, wasn't he? So the other driver involved in that was Sergio Sette Camara, on a podium at Spa, but hasn't been in the points too often. So Beretta, looking for his first points of the season, got going again. And this little group here are not too far away from being lapped by the leaders, so that could be interesting. The leaders coming up to a ball of spray, some slower cars. And if you can imagine driving one of these cars, if you look in the mirror and there's a ball of spray behind you, how are you going to see who's behind you? How are you going to know, other than spotting the blue flags, that a quicker car is about to lap you? Now, Gunther coming under pressure from Rosenquist here, wants to get in on the podium. There they go, third, fourth and fifth. Giovinazzi, though, very deep into the corner there. Somebody's gone off wide now. Is that one of the front runners? Yes, it's Alex Albon, who's gone straight on from second place, so he'll drop several positions. Poof, gets going again. Straight past Boccolacci, so I put him fifth, I reckon. He's dropped from second to fifth. I'd imagine that was just all on his own, a straight lock-up. We only saw the back end of it. That now will give Charles Leclerc a nice, healthy advantage in the lead of the race. It will put Gunther up to second. It will put that man, number one, Felix Rosenquist, up to third place. Oh, Michele Beretta's had another moment, and this time he's got out of the car. A moment or it stopped. So that's Alex Albon. There's the replay. Yeah, just a straightforward lock-up. Kept cool and kept it out of the barriers, though.
Yes, that's a great shame because he'd been doing so well. His recovery was... I wouldn't say how quick it was because he appeared to be stopped there, didn't he?
Another one's gone wide there. Trying to identify that one. So Leclerc leads, Gunther second, Rosenquist third. Giovinazzi fourth, Albon down to fifth, Boccolacci sixth, Jake Dennis is seventh. Slowly catchy monkey for Jake. Pommer's eighth. Menezes is ninth. Lance Stroll is into the points in 10th place. And we have four of the top six, Dave, all rookies, which shows the strength of these new drivers coming into the series, including the top two.
So there on screen is just evidence of how much water there is out there. And cars still skirting around. There's the Max Günther car. So Leclerc, Günther and Rosenquist.
Here's Gunther, because Rosenquist, less than a second between them. Giovinazzi a further 1 second behind. Into the hairpin. Nice and smooth from Leclerc. Haven't had too much wet running this year. Certainly in terms of fully wet sessions. But given how smooth he is, I would say these conditions suit Charles Leclerc right down to the ground. And he's getting away from them now. But he's going to get the first one that gets up to the traffic, isn't he? And that could be an issue. Once he goes through, they'll be aware that quicker cars are about to lap them.
But he is certainly going to be the first one in and amongst, and going to have to try and scythe his way through the traffic.
And have to be a little bit careful, because if he slides past a slower car, you can't assume that they'll have seen him in the mirrors.
No, with visibility so compromised, you're absolutely right.
He's got a 4 second advantage now. Max Gunther, who had a second place finish at Po, the street circuit, trying to get second again, but Felix Rosenquist trying to wrestle that position away from him. He's taking a wider line there. I think it's as much to be able to see where he's going, to be honest, to get out of the spray. Giovinazzi in the yellow got your eye on car.
He's in that battle as well, isn't he?
A wide entry and a tighter exit, and he just gets the better traction and goes through. So Giovinazzi, fourth in the championship, he almost took another place there as he got up the inside of Gunther. So this is the battle for second place. Gunther up to third is Giovinazzi, down to fourth is Felix Rosenquist. And Alex Albon, I think he's starting to come after them again. He was quicker by about 2/10 last time around. So Alex Albon might still get a podium out of this. You'll see him coming into the back of the shot fairly soon. There he is, the black signature car. There goes Giovinazzi again, Dave. Has a go at the inside, slipping slightly from Gunther. The German driver, though, just about fends off the Italian.
Giovinazzi really is on a charge, isn't he? Very, very exciting to watch in these torrid conditions here at the Norisring. It's the first race of 3 for the FIA Formula 3 European Championship. And there is Antonio Giovinazzi, the all-yellow car. And you're right, Chris, he's taking different lines. Sometimes it's working, sometimes not so.
Through the back markers they go. Albon, not far behind Albon now. He's Jake Dennis, he's into 6th place. So he's got ahead of Dorian Bacalacci. So Jake Dennis from 10th to 6th now. And as I say, with better grid slots for races 2 and 3, which might yet be dry. The rain not necessarily here for the day. Second race is later on at the end of the afternoon. And tomorrow morning is when we'll get the 3rd race of the weekend, race number 18. And here we go, side by side again. Gunther takes the tight line. Giovinazzi's wide, and they switch around again, but on the way out of the corner, Giovinazzi will have perhaps better traction and just about knows he's back in front. Gunther hasn't given up entirely. He pulls out of the slipstream. He tries to see where he's going. We wait for which car comes out of the mist first, and it's Giovinazzi. Luckily, Dave, they're both bright colours, bright yellow and bright orange, so you can see them coming out of the mist. And Felix Rosenqvist wasn't really able to pounce, was he?
Not at all. No, you're right. Giovinazzi and Gunther. And, of course, whilst these two are scrapping among themselves, it's all playing into the hands a little bit of Charles Leclerc, isn't it?
Fastest lap last time around was Lance Stroll in 9th place. So it's not the fastest lap of the race, but he was the fastest driver last time around. Here's a replay of the battle between number 3 Giovinazzi and number 28 Max Gunther. And Giovinazzi just keeping cool there. Mature driving that, actually. Yes. He let him go. He saw that the inside line was gone. Rather than closing the door, he just concentrated on his own line, getting the power down early, and got him coming back out of the corner. Leclerc has suddenly in the last few laps, Dave, doubled his advantage. 8 seconds clear now.
Yes, and well, there he is. Relatively untroubled now, isn't he, because of the Giovinazzi and Gunther fight that's going on behind. He's able to focus and concentrate on weaving his way through some back-marking cars and extending that lead, was it up to 8 seconds?
Yeah, looking for his 4th win of the season. Had a win at Silverstone, a win at Hockenheim in the 2nd event of the season, and a win in the 1st race of the weekend at Spa last time out. One thing you can say about this championship, Dave, is that they get a fair old variety of circuits, from Monza to Spa to the street circuits of Po and here at Norisring. And wide for Max Gunther. He'll have to be careful not to give a place up to Felix Rosenqvist. Felix is not quite close enough, though, to attack. And you've got Albon and Dennis coming after them in 5th and 6th positions. Alex Albon, last time around, the quickest of the lead group. Oh, dear. That is number 2. That's off Jake. In the strife. Jake Dennis, what's happened here? Oh, Giovinazzi in trouble as well. 2 of the championship front runners in drama within a few seconds of each other. The safety car has been deployed.
There's bits falling off Giovinazzi's car.
Is it, or has he just picked up somebody else's debris? Possibly. Well, we thought it might come at some point, a bit later than we thought. So there is a rear wing loose. I think Giovinazzi's just picked somebody else's up.
You're right.
Boom. That's a bit unlucky.
That is unlucky, isn't it? Because that's really going to compromise.
It's going to be stuck there. He's going to have to go to the pits to get it out, isn't he? Ah, dear. I can't see that coming loose on its own. He's got to be careful of punctures. So Dennis went on there, straight on. And, oof, a few of them were going all of a sudden. Was that 4 or 5 cars going straight on? You'd think, if anything, they'd be getting used to the braking. Maybe they're just pushing a bit harder into the corners.
Yeah.
That's a real shame for Jake Dennis, who was just starting to close up with Alex Albon on that lead group. Giovinazzi.
Now that, you can see, with the Racing Steps Foundation, that's a piece of Jake Dennis's car, isn't it?
He's trying to shake it loose, look, Giovinazzi. It might be to no avail.
Still a piece wedged in there, isn't it? Yeah.
And he's going to get the black and orange flag if he's not careful. Hasn't gone in the pits though, Dave. He's determined to shake it loose if he can. Well, a bit of it has come off. But those shards of carbon fibre, you've got to be careful they don't give you a puncture here. There's Nabil Jeffrey, the Malaysian driver, coming up to a lapped by a race leader, number 7, Charles Leclerc.
Now, of course, Charles Leclerc is the one that is really, really disadvantaged by this, isn't he? Because he built up a very, very comfortable margin, hadn't he?
Right, let's have another look at this. Right, this is, I think, Giovinazzi shaking off.
He's deliberately using the curves, isn't he?
If you can't shake it off, I'll break it off, he says.
Try and dislodge it.
So even when Jake's not with him, he can't shake off the Racing Steps car. So Leclerc leads. Giovinazzi second at the moment, but how long can he carry on like this? Third place is Rosenquist. Gunther's fourth. So that switched around while all that was going on. They're ready for him. The Jagonia IM team, run by Carlin. And then we've got Alex Albon fifth. Dorian Bacalacci's up to sixth. Gustavo Meneses is seventh.
Now that's the Ferrucci car, isn't it?
Yeah, Santino Ferrucci.
About to be recovered.
He's a bit of a wet weather specialist, Santino. He went really well. He only joined the championship halfway through last season. This was one of his first events. He got a fourth and a fifth here in the wet last year. And a tremendous karting record in wet conditions as well. But he has come right. One of, what, half a dozen drivers that went straight on. Bits of bodywork littered everywhere.
And you can see in that puddle there the fact that it is still raining. I just find it a little bit extraordinary, Chris, given the number of laps they'd done around that turn. Where all of a sudden, you know, there was 3 or 4 of them just went.
It was almost as if suddenly there was some oil down or something like that, wasn't it?
And I do wonder if there was something, some other. Something else on the surface that caused that, because, you know, for 4 or 5 of them just to skate off like that,
they were all unrelated, weren't they?
Yes.
They weren't all going off together,
yes.
they're all going off separately. So, yeah, you do wonder if something happened there. I mean, it's hard to tell from the pictures, but maybe it just got a bit heavier, the rain, and where they were braking a lap ago, it wasn't working anymore. That said, the others got through, didn't they? So,
yeah.
Maybe we might find out more here. What we're going to... Oh, dear. Don't run over that. That's George Russell,
that's George.
We got away with it, just about. He's got himself in the points as well, George. He's into 10th place.
Under investigation is Giovinazzi for overtaking during the safety car.
Well,
allegedly.
As we saw that replay, he was almost sort of drawing level with the safety car itself, wasn't he? Which we caught the back of. So we concentrated on him running over the wing, but he was almost level with the safety car, which makes you think, was he almost level with Leclerc then?
Well, that's the information we have from race control at the moment. Larandi's going to pick it up as well. Well, what that's done is just distributed it into 2 parts now, hasn't it?
I mean, what we need is the marshals to get on there if they can and sweep some of this stuff up, because that's more bits of shards of carbon fibre and more chance of giving other drivers punctures, isn't it?
Well, if there was any doubt that we were going to go to time at the beginning of the race, I don't think there is now. We've got 11 minutes left on the clock, and we're only at half distance in terms of laps, aren't we? So undoubtedly we're going to go to the clock rather than the laps that are at the top of your screen at the moment. We're still under the safety car, and I suspect we will be until those bits of carbon fibre have indeed been removed. So now, as you predicted, Giovinazzi is going to get the meatball flag.
Yeah, well, the team's ready for him. Surprised that he hasn't been in already, to be honest. I think he's is he shaking it off, actually? Do you know what? I think he's got rid of it.
Yeah, I think he has.
His persistence paid off. The trouble is, he's got bits of Racing Steps wing littered everywhere now because he's been smashing it off over the curves. But there you go. He's got rid of it himself.
And of course, what we still have is him under investigation for whether he overtook. Now, that's what we need, isn't it?
Well done, Marshall. So that's a bit of wing out of the way. It's going to be quite a collection at the end of this, isn't there?
Yeah. So yes, the Giovinazzi still under investigation then for perhaps potentially overtaken during that safety car operation, and the safety car is still out at the moment, so still waiting further news on our message screen with regards to that. But I think you're right. I think Giovinazzi has got rid of all the bits that he...
Now, what's this? A replay of... that's how he got rid of the wing. So that was the final bit of wing we saw just being collected. Felix Rosenquist almost got it under his car then because it slid wide.
It was quite a sizable piece wedged under there, wasn't it?
Well, he's got rid of it, and he was right and I was wrong. He was right to stay out and try and shake it off because he's done it, and he's still second. If he'd gone in the pits, of course, he would have been way down the order now. So we've got Leclerc, Rosenquist and Giovinazzi first, third and fourth in the championship, all in a strong situation here. Jake Dennis, second in the championship. I'm afraid he's going to be a retiree. It's going to be only his 3rd non-point scoring finish of the season. One of them being a retirement at Silverstone. The other, of course, being that really cruel blow at the end of the Po GP when he led the whole weekend, won the first 2 races, led 90 5% of the third race, and the suspension broke, and he had a failure there. But he's very positive, Jake, and he tends to bounce back. So don't rule him out of further results this weekend. Good enough to get a 4th and a 5th here in 2 of his races. As a rookie last season. Great slow-mo there, showing that there is a fair bit of surface water on the track now. Not massively heavy rain, but just persistent, and even in the safety car conditions, you can lock up.
Arjumani we look at there. BRDC Rising Star logo, and some great slow-mos that we're able to bring you here, which real HD detail, showing just what it's like out there in really rather rotten conditions. Just looking at the back of the comms booth now, Chris, I'm not sure if it hasn't stopped raining.
It's still raining, but it's not.
Okay.
It's not that heavy, but it's just persistent. We haven't really had a big downpour, have we? It's just been raining steadily for, well, a couple of hours now, hasn't it?
There's no word as to when the safety car is coming in here. Now, from what you and I have seen, it would appear that most of the debris has been collected and cleared up.
Yeah.
We've got just over 7 minutes left on the clock of this race. There is our race leader.
He won't care if the safety car stays out to the end of the race.
Of course he won't. No, of course he won't. No, I am just beginning to wonder. This is going to be a... You know, if the safety car does come back in, it's going to be a fraught fight to the finish. After saying that, there's some debris there, but that, of course, is in replay, isn't it? That's probably been taken away now.
I mean, if we do get back underway, who we should be watching out for is probably Alex Albon, because he was catching the lead group anyway. He was quick enough to be hanging on to Leclerc. He was second before he went wide at the Grundig hairpin. And he might as well go for it from 5th place. He's currently 4th in the rookie standings, Alex Albon. Charles Leclerc, who leads the championship, is also the leading rookie driver this season. At the moment, we've got Leclerc, rookie, in 1st place. Giovinazzi and Rosenquist, more experienced F3 drivers, 2nd and 3rd. Giovinazzi a few years ago, 2nd in the British Formula 3 Championship. And one of the front runners last season. Gunther is 4th, he's a rookie. Albon is 5th, a rookie. Boccolacci is 6th, and he's a rookie. You've also got Lance Stroll and George Russell in the points, all rookies. And you've got some very soggy-looking spectators there, Dave. But they've already got the back of Max. They knew what was coming. Don't that often get completely dry weekends here at the Norisring, do we?
I think the safety car has sped up significantly now, and he's bringing these cars back up to a pace.
I think they've had to be ultra sure that they've got rid of all these shards of bodywork, because if somebody picks up a puncture here, straight in the wall they'll be.
Now, by dint of that really speeding up now, I think that perhaps we're going to see that return to the pit lane, and we're going to get, well... A
few laps.
A few laps. It is going to be only a few laps. We've got 5.5 minutes left on the clock. Still no further word on that Antonio Giovinazzi being under investigation. No decision has been made, and I do just feel that the safety car has picked the pace up now. Lights are still on. It's only when the lights go out on the safety car that's an indicator that it is coming back in. But I think, Chris, you're absolutely right. I think they had to be doubly sure that all those shards of carbon fibre had been removed wherever possible.
Somebody who's gone well so far, from 20th to 14th, looking for her first points of the season, is Tatiana Calderon. Last time she had wet weather tyres on, Dave, a week ago at Spa.
Oh,
she led.
Brilliant, absolutely brilliant.
Yeah, she had wets on. Everybody else went for dries on a drying track. She had a good battle at the head of the field for a while. But unfortunately for her, it dried up, didn't it?
Yeah, exactly the same at Nürburgring last year, when Spike Goddard was the one that was out of the ordinary in terms of tyre use, and he led a race for a while. But, you know, what Tatiana Calderon and Spike Goddard needed in those situations was another little shower, really, just to... but in the end, it wasn't to be.
Well, you can see the clock counting down, 4 minutes, 15 seconds to go. And safety car is still out. I'm going to get much in the way of racing, I'm afraid.
No.
Unless it comes in pretty much immediately. The lights are still on, though.
I really thought it had sped up with a view to, right, let's bring them back up to speed. You know, we'll get a few laps in, but
I just wonder if it's now become a view on the circuit's too wet to go at racing speed, rather than there's still debris on the circuit. We haven't seen any shots of any clearing up being done, have we? It's just the standing water, isn't it? And because it's not a smooth, specific racing track, there are It's a road, it's a public road. There are little dints in the surface, which means it holds the water. And even there, you know, behind the safety car, you can see there's a fair bit of spray, and you've seen what it's like when they are racing. So Charles Leclerc, I think he's going to be on course for a fairly easy run to his 4th victory of the season. I'll bring him on to 4 wins. Jake Dennis on 4. Felix Rosenqvist on 5. And whoops, a spin there for Pietro Fittipaldi under the safety car. Which maybe then tells you, actually, yes, it is very, very slippy out there. And this is the replay. Giovinazzi. You see, he actually gone past the safety car there, hadn't he? Yeah. I think with all the spray, he obviously didn't see the safety car. He went wide to avoid running into the back of it, and that is why he picked up the wing of Jake Dennis.
Just received confirmation from race control. The race will be finished behind the safety car, Chris.
That's a real shame. From a neutral's point of view, that we won't get too much more racing, or any racing really. Replay of Matt Sullivan going off there. Replay of George Russell.
He got away with that.
Just about getting away.
Got away with that.
Missed the tyre completely, didn't it? Otherwise, that could have been a puncture.
And George will finish in the points, won't he? Just.
Yeah, he's 5th in the championship. He's only had the 1 win. But to be fair to George, Silverstone is the only circuit he knows.
Yes.
He's still learning all the circuits. And he's gone well in qualifying here.
Sorry, I'm just giggling at Giovinazzi's deft use of the curbs there to dislodge part of Jake Dennis's car.
You've got to take your hat off to him for not giving up on that, haven't you? And being pretty stubborn about not coming into the pits. It's going to go one way or the other, wasn't it? I suppose in a way he got nothing to lose, because the minute he went in the pits, he would have been out of the points.
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely.
So, you know, let's try and shake it off, because what have I got to lose, really? And it worked, eventually. Much to the joy of the marshals, who had to go and pick it all up for him.
So we have 1.5 minutes left on the clock, and confirmation that the race will finish behind the safety car. Conditions have not improved, that's for sure. As see another camera angle of that being dislodged as best possible by Giovinazzi.
Charles Leclerc is going to extend his championship advantage. Felix Rosenqvist is going to move up to 2nd in the points, because he was only 1 point behind Jake Dennis anyway, and he's going to pick up 15 points for 3rd place. Jake, I'm afraid he's not going to score anything, but Felix Rosenqvist has got lower grids for races 2 and 3, so he had to make this one work.
Yeah.
And he's done okay from 5th to 3rd. Incidentally, because it's a street circuit, because there's not much room, because there are so many cars, like at Pau, in qualifying, they split them up into 2 groups, Dave. So even though Alex Albon was actually 2nd quickest, he started 3rd on the grid, because you divide it up into 2 groups, even numbers and odd numbers. Whichever group has the fastest driver, that side gets pole position, 3rd, 5th, all the odd side of the grid.
So it runs all the way down the grid.
And then whoever was fastest in the slower group would be 2nd on the grid. 2nd fastest in that group, 4th, 6th, and so on. Slightly complicated, but it does make sense, rather than try to squeeze them all out there for 20 minutes and then everybody complaining about not getting a clean lap. So the clock has ticked down to 0, and Charles Leclerc is going to take the flag at the slowest pace he's ever taken the checkered flag, one would imagine, for his 4th victory of the season. It's the number 18 car of Nicky Pola, just about avoiding being lapped. So they have to go around again. No points for Nicky, I'm afraid. Safety car's turned its lights out. They're going to have a little formation run across the line, aren't they?
Yeah.
But they won't, of course, be able to overtake anyway. So Charles Leclerc will be able to take a bit more speed as he takes the checkered flag. And here he comes, and it is win number 4 of the season for Charles Leclerc. The Monegasque extends his championship lead in the FIA European F3 standing. 2nd place to Antonio Giovinazzi. And rounding out the podium and moving up to 2nd in the standings is Felix Rosenqvist. So there is Leclerc, and the records will show that he won by 0.7 of a second. In reality, though, Dave, he was pretty dominant in that. He was 8 seconds clear. The only one that was able to hang on to him until his mistake was Alex Albon. And he'll take, I mean, still an impressive drive. It's entirely forgivable that he would have made a mistake. He wasn't the only one.
No,
and he hasn't, driven this circuit before, let alone in the wet.
And in fairness, unlike others, it wasn't terminal for him, was it?
No.
He was able to recover and get back into P5.
In fact, had he been able to get a bit more steering lock on the car, he probably wouldn't have lost a place. But it's because he had to wait to turn it back away from the barriers that he lost those few seconds and it dropped him back. It's confirmation of the results then. Charles Leclerc, Antonio Giovinazzi and Felix Rosenqvist the top 3. Max Gunther with a good drive there to 4th place. Alex Albon 5th. His signature teammate Dorian Bacalacci was 6th. Gustavo Meneses the right way up this time, 7th. Lance Stroll the right way up this time in 8th. Marcus Palmer 9th. And George Russell rounding out the points. Callum Ilott will be one of those drivers frustrated that the safety car was out for the final third of the race, because he was 11th, and had he had a chance he might have gone for it on a restart, but that never happened. So 11th place, just outside of the points for him, I'm afraid. And the big name to drop out there really, Jake Dennis. Arjun Miney was another one that went off. Michele Beretta we saw with a non-finish as well. So back already is Charles Leclerc. And what will we get in terms of race conditions for this evening's race? Could it be dry? It might well be. And then it's back to the drawing board for everybody. Charles Leclerc banging in more points here. He's only had one retirement this season. That was in race 2 at Monza. In every other race, Dave, he has finished in the top 6. He's picking up the points metronomically.
Goes back to what we were saying, isn't it? Driving with his head. And, you made the point. We reached the halfway point, don't we? It's a long, there's a lot of racing in the FIA Formula 3 European Championship. And it's as much about consistency as anything else.
So I reckon Rosenqvist will move up to 2nd. I think Giovinazzi will also move up to 3rd in the championship. Jake Dennis will drop from 2nd to 4th, because there was only 5 points between those 3 drivers as it was. Felix Rosenqvist, I think, will be relatively happy with that. 3rd place from where he started. Ever cool is Charles Leclerc. You rarely see him sort of jumping up for joy, and very cool, very level-headed. But what a rookie. He's only had 2 seasons of car racing, and this is his first in Formula 3. It's very impressive.
So some super slow-mos then of the 1, 2, 3. Felix Rosenqvist then, who banks the points for P3 and the Prema Power Team. P2, Antonio Giovinazzi with some incredible driving that we saw. Incredible in terms of getting rid of some of the rubbish that was stuck to the front of his car, which was courtesy of Jake Dennis. But no dispute in the winner, Charles Leclerc, then, who had the safety car come in and allowed more racing laps. Undoubtedly, the lead he had built would have been compromised, but in the end, finishing under the safety car, Charles Leclerc able to take this checkered flag and yet another win in the FIA Formula 3 European Championship. And we'll see the 1, 2, 3, Leclerc, Giovinazzi and Rosenqvist up on the podium very, very soon. Congratulations all round.
Yeah, Giovinazzi now needs to download Taylor Swift to his iPod. Shake it off. Could be his new theme tune. You can have that one for free.
Very topical. Mr. Hartley.
Down with the kids, down with the kids.
Yeah, clearly.
Well, a sort of slightly downbeat end to the race. Because what do we have? The final 7 or 8 laps behind the safety car. So the adrenaline had long since gone, hadn't it?
And in fairness, both you and I came into this comms booth with a sense of trepidation, looking at the weather conditions and the concrete walls, and
what's happened recently.
Thinking back to a week ago, and then prior to that Monza. Actually, to be fair to them, actually they did jolly well, well.
Yeah, and the offs that we saw were individual mistakes, by and large, or 1 or 2 collisions, but nothing serious. But largely, it was just drivers succumbing to the conditions and sliding off, and no real big shunts. So well done all. Good effort. Bit of repair work, I think, has been done to the reputation of some of the drivers.
Very interesting talking to a number of people, because Emanuele Pirro now is one of the is one of the leading lights, isn't he, in terms of driving standards, and he's got a very, very different approach to everybody else, and I think an awful lot of the drivers really are respecting what he's saying. Unfortunately, he's not here this weekend. Other commitments mean he can't be here. In fact, I don't think he can be at the until the final round. I think it's Hockenheim, his next visit, but certainly he had lots of conversations with them at Spa, and they all respected what he had to say.
So there is Charles Leclerc on the top step of the podium for the 4th time this season. He'll be on the podium for the rookie podium as well to follow. There is Antonio Giovinazzi back on the podium for the first time in a while. That's his first podium finish since he won the race at Pau, when he got past Jake Dennis, who had that problem as described, and Felix Rosenqvist on the podium as well. Had the 1 second place finish of the first race at Spa. Of course, 3 wins at Monza, and now the national anthem of our race winner.
I have to say, Chris, he never ever looks as happy as I think he should.
He's Mr. Cool, isn't he?
Isn't he just?
He's the sort, you can see what's going through his head. That's one race. We've got 2 more to go.
Yeah, fair point.
Manfred Sandbichler from Hankook there. He provided the tyres for the Formula 3 Championship, presenting our winner's trophy to Charles Leclerc. Wolfgang Schlossler from the local motorsport club here at Nürburgring, presenting to Van Amersfoort Racing, the winning team. There is Fritz Van Amersfoort to the right of the picture. So that's 4 wins on the bounce now for his team.
Yes.
Looking back to last year here at this circuit. Giovinazzi gets a well-deserved 2nd place trophy. He drove well, didn't he, in that? Remember, he was 7th on the grid. Felix Rosenqvist gets his 3rd place trophy. Another podium, more points. He's certainly having a much better season than last year. There were a couple of high spots. The win at Pau, the Pau GP winner of 2014 with Muka Motorsport. Victorious at the Macau Grand Prix at the end of the season. But he was only 8th in the championship last year, which after finishing as runner-up the year before was not what he wanted. But he switched to Prema Power Team. And so far, he's going very well indeed. A few ups and downs. He hasn't had the consistency of results that Charles Leclerc has had. But he's still in the mix. And we're still only just coming up to halfway in the championship, Dave.
Yes, absolutely so. And, well, there's me saying that he doesn't look as happy. He's certainly quick with the old Henkel, isn't he? He's away with that.
I suppose it shouldn't be a massive surprise that somebody from Monaco has gone well in a street circuit.
Yeah,
not that
maybe
they've ever had much practice, not legally anyway.
No.
Oh, off we go. We've got a big old gap now. It's not to the very end of the afternoon that they go again before race 2. It was all a bit frantic down in the paddock before the race. Lots of late changes to setup,
yes.
Scrambling around, drivers running up to make sure they were there for the start of the race, teams frantically sorting out the setup. This is where you're relying on the team as a driver to make the right call. They've got the data from previous years and wet conditions. You, certainly as a rookie, are somewhat in the hands of the team here to get things right for you. Bit of a compromise on the setup because of the long straights but the tight corners. But a very good race nonetheless. Good driving standards. We should get the rookie podium next, which will see Charles Leclerc. Max Gunther on the podium. He's impressed so far this season. And Alex Albon, 5th overall, but another trophy for being the 3rd best rookie in the race. So more rookies than ever before in the championship. And just like we had last year, lots of them getting on the overall podium as well.
It's another stellar grid, isn't it, this year? Yeah, the Formula 3 European Championship. Strength in depth and rookie podium to come. And he's back up there for his 2nd appearance on the top step.
There's Max Gunther. Well done to him. He's 3rd in the rookie standings. Charles Leclerc, George Russell and Max Gunther, the top 3 in the rookie standings. 4th in the rookie standings coming into this weekend. That man, Alex Albon, will be slightly frustrated at not getting on the overall podium. But he's got 2 more chances this weekend, both of which will come from pole. Becoming quite familiar with the national anthem of Monaco, aren't we? Charles Leclerc will pick up yet more silverware. And Prince Bickler from Hankook presents the Rookie Winners' Trophy to Charles Leclerc. Again, very calm and collected. And second place to Max Gunther, the German driver, who was only just off the overall podium in 4th place. And the Tour British-born Thai driver, Alex Albon, who had a phenomenal record in British and international karting. Looking good here, a couple of seasons in Formula Renault, his first season in Formula 3. And that is your rookie podium, the first of 3 races here this weekend for the FIA F3 European Championship. 16 races now complete. Race 17 later on today, race 18 tomorrow. Take us into the second half of the championship. So, perfect start to the weekend for Charles Leclerc. But you fancy, Dave Richardson, that we might get 1 or 2 other drivers up there on the podium this weekend. It's not going to be plain sailing here at the Norisring.
No, absolutely not. And, of course, as is always the case at this street circuit at Norisring, the weather will play its part. It's played its part in race 1 of 3 this weekend. As we speak, I think it's still just drizzling a little bit, and it is forecast to be like it for much of the day today, and then blistering sunshine potentially tomorrow. So we will see what, as you say, they've got a long way to come before their next race today.
Could be interesting, will be interesting. From Dave Richardson and myself, Chris Hartley, hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for watching. We'll have more from the FIA Formula 3 European Championship later on in the weekend. Bye for now.